Markendel says, how to sound closer as native speaker. A better question would be maybe, how can I sound closer to a native speaker? Or perhaps, how can I sound like a native speaker? That would be a good way to say it. I'm Haitian. Haitian, okay. Very cool. So it kind of depends on what you mean, of course, because someone could have very natural pronunciation and still really not sound like a native speaker. Someone could have really good use of the language, maybe their use of vocabulary and phrases, and then have a very strong accent. I know both people. I know people who are both. So, for example, when I first met my wife, she wasn't my wife when I first met her, because how would that work? So we first met. One thing I noticed about her is that she didn't have a very strong Chinese English accent. There's a very strong accent in the Northeast that is kind of like this. When people say things, it sounds like this. Very strong. She did not have that. So she had this natural sound for whatever reason. I guess that's just a sensitivity to different sounds and then an ability to connect that to the mouth muscles and then make sounds in English that sound more like how native English speakers speak, not necessarily American English speakers. It could be British or Australian or whatever. So maybe that's a natural ability. Some people have that natural ability where they can hear a way of speaking, an accent, and then kind of pick it up. Maybe it's not perfect, but get close to that kind of naturally. And for those who can do that naturally, that's a huge advantage. Now, if you don't have that natural ability, that doesn't mean you can't learn it. It's just more of an uphill battle for you. But when I first met my wife, she didn't have strong English overall, strong use of vocabulary. She spoke almost no English. Very few phrases. We were always using translators or broken Chinese or broken English. It was a fun challenge. That was great. But so that's an example of very natural sound to the ear, but not good use of the language. And then the only way to get there is to try to develop that awareness of the ear that connects to the mouth and use shadowing, for example, to get closer to the pronunciation. That would be the way you work on that. The other way, then, is another person that I know. I'm not going to name them. It's a lady. And this person has a very strong command of the English language. Many words and phrases, professional English, any type of English, written English, very strong fundamentals, very strong use of a lot of phrases. If you read her writing, it looks great. But she has an extremely strong Chinese English accent. So everything she says is correct, and if you read a transcript of it, you would say, wow. But when you hear it, it's like this. It's really strong. And I say to myself, whoa, there's a big disconnect between sound and command of the language. So that's another way. And that's why accent can be important. Because when someone hears what they would describe as a very strong accent, often they can't see through that to the real skill underneath. And they might find it a little distracting. You know English, great, but if people don't quite understand the accent part, the pronunciation, they might struggle with comprehension, especially in meetings, online, things like that, right? So, work on both. Definitely. If you have that natural sort of accent, but you feel like you don't have the fundamentals, well, then you have a long journey ahead. You've got to learn those. You've got to read. You've got to practice speaking as much as you can. You have to absorb yourself in the language, immerse yourself in the culture as much as possible. But if you have the other part, and you find people are not always understanding what you say because of your accent, then you have to develop that sensitivity and that awareness, which takes time, but I would argue may take less time if you do it the right way. Because if you develop that awareness to the sounds and an ability to make those sounds, you're going to get it pretty quickly. But it really is all about building that awareness of the sounds. What is it that makes the r sound compared to what I'm saying? Maybe What is the difference between those? And what do I have to do with my mouth to make it make that sound that I'm hearing? That's it. It's as simple as that. So I hope that answers your question, Mercandel. If you haven't already, guys, don't forget to hit... Why did I put this in the middle? Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and also check out my full courses in the links in the description.